So are we continually trying to make healthy the rottenness that's inside of us, or is the rottenness always attacking what is our basic goodness inside of us?
I don't believe that we're basically good. I believe that we're made in the image of God, and so there's value and dignity, and there's kind of, basically I believe that that's distorted, that it's fallen, and so I would hold with Calvinism to a doctrine called total depravity, that we are, it doesn't mean that we are as bad as we can be, that would be utter depravity, but total depravity means that every part of us is stained in some sense, is fallen, our minds, our hearts, our wills, and so I don't know, that's kind of where I would fall on that. Not that we are naturally good, but that we're naturally, I think that even, I don't know, I would attribute the good that we do see to God's kind of restraining hand, that if he were to let that back, that things would be much worse than they are. Yeah.
So do you make music to help people like me fight that's inside of me?
I would say that well, first of all, I make music just because I make music, because I feel like it's what I've been gifted to do, and I love doing it. But I would say, and answer that question, that on a surface level, yes, like I think we should fight that, but I also think that on a deeper level, I don't know, I would say Scripture talks about this idea of regeneration, or God giving us a new heart, and that enabling us to actually do good, not in just a sense of like a civic righteousness of, yes, you can do good things that are not bad things, but on a deeper level of how you're justified before God. I think that is a gift. It's not something that you can do.
Well, I kind of think sometimes that I when I start feeling like I'm seeing the light and starting to understand that all of a sudden some sort of, metaphorical cataracts starts growing over my eyes, and all of a sudden I can no longer see what I thought I saw yesterday. Mm-hmm. Or it gradually just sort of creeps in, and then all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, I'm lost again, and that's why you write Cataracts, and that's kind of what happens, right? Because we're just all sort of how you just
yeah, I mean, in a sense that song is kind of pleading for a new heart, for new eyes, for new ears, out of an understanding that I think that naturally we are deaf and blind and dumb to a lot of things. I mean, yeah, this stuff it is mysterious stuff. There, how does one do this? Like this CD here, this kid wrote about the parable of the sower and the seeds. It's talking about kind of the spreading of the gospel, and it lands in different soils and it gets snatched up, or it gets choked out, or it gets dried up in the sun, and then some seed falls in good soil. But the interesting thing about the story is that how does one become a different kind of soil? I'm not sure that that's what it's saying, as enigmatic as that sounds. Jesus talks in parables a lot, and a lot of people are like, oh yeah, he was saying these to like teach easier, and that's not actually what he says about them. He basically says that they're creating new realities as he teaches them, that they're almost judgments, that if you are seeing them, then you're seeing them. If you're not seeing them, you're not seeing them. And I don't know. It's definitely more a little more dark and shrouded than I once would have thought.
Well, there's been plenty of times when I've said to people that I think have more enlightenment than I do, and that is, why couldn't God just say it straight out? Why do you have to talk in so many parables and metaphors? And it's like, oh my God, I can't get it. There's a part of me that just says, do this, but maybe that's why I have to work at it, and that's when it feels, that's when something is really real, when you have to work for it and get it. I don't know.
I don't know either.
All right. Thank you. Called in the air. Maybe I guess I think this is where life is for so many different times in the day, when we have to make a decision for life and for our own betterment, if not the people, our community's betterment, whatever. But specifically here, choosing to live.
Yeah, I took the metaphor of the coin toss kind of from No Country for Old Men. The scene in the gas station, and some of the imagery in there is from that. But just this idea that the station attendant says, I don't know what we're playing for, and Chigurh says, you've been putting it up your whole life. He's basically saying you're playing for your life, and you're putting it up every moment, and you're not aware of that. And so I think that's actually, regardless if there's a psychopath in your gas station, that's true for everyone. You don't know that you won't stop breathing the next minute. And so we try to ignore that a lot. We try to push that to the back of our minds and bury it. And I think that if we were more aware of that, it would make us more prone to really want to know what we believe about ultimate reality and what life is and why it matters, and does it have meaning, and do we have a purpose in it. With so many distractions that it's very easy to not think about any of those things and have a very full, or I guess filled up life. And so that song's kind of a prompting to figure it out. Like your coin is tossed, it is going to fall, you will die, and you don't know when, and that might not matter at all. It might matter in more than anything.
The biggest terms. I wonder if distractions are the big evil in the world, because I'm thinking I probably flip that coin up every day, but if something happens while that coin's up in the air, sports, traffic, all of a sudden I don't even know it lands. I don't know if it's heads or tails. I don't know what I'm thinking. All I know is that I'm on to the next distraction. Like you said earlier about you being distracted, as a way of life, in a way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would say that's why it's important to figure it out, what you think, and so that when you're in traffic, when you're watching sports, when you wake up, that at least what you're calling that coin, that, and that's going to influence everything that you do, how you sit in traffic, how you watch that ball game. Yeah.
Well, I've been thinking lately too, and it was a lyric from somebody else, but it was something about the hopeful morning. And I know that when I'm laying with my head on the pillow in the morning, I have all these great things that are going to happen for the day, but then something will happen, and all of a sudden I will stumble, and it's like I lose my complete focus on that. And I wonder if that morning time is the most hopeful time, and then again distractions come in and just sort of take my feet out from under me, and voila, I lay there the next morning thinking the same things.
Yeah, I get a little bit of that just because of my poor planning. Sometimes those hopes don't pan out like they should, but I don't know. That should spur me to be a better steward of my time and resources.
And then maybe that's why you write Treading Paper a little bit, is to try to pay attention to things rather than in searching for things, but because I think I think you're searching for something pretty serious here in Treading Paper, where if you called it Treading Water, I would have went, oh, it's lukewarm and it's nice and I can just sort of hang in this world. But when you're treading paper, it feels like you really are searching for something.
Yeah, that term, I don't know, kind of the crux of that song comes from, or at least the starting point of the song. The idea that the space between the words, it's saying that basically we have no meaning. So there's so much writing and thinking that in the end makes everything meaningless, if you follow where that leads to. But usually we don't talk about that. We kind of just put that aside. But I'm saying let's talk about that. Like, this is what I'm reading between the lines here. You're telling me that I don't have meaning, I don't have purpose. There is no good, there is no evil, there is no beauty, there is no love, there's no transcendence. And so those things I disagree with. My experience in life leads me to believe otherwise. And so I want to have... that song is basically saying... I choose not to believe those things. I mean, I put it in terms of, like, big question, you know, like, either I can...
Right. If anything means anything, there must be something meant for us to be.
Yeah, and that's playing on, you know, the idea of different ways that the word mean can be defined. But one being, if anything means anything, has value, then must be meant, has a purpose. And so I would say for anything to have value, there must be a purpose behind it. Otherwise, everything is absolutely random and chance and the product of nothing. I mean, I don't know. These all situations seem somewhat improbable to me. It seems strangely improbable that there would be a God who created me, who loves me, who sent Himself in flesh to die for me. That seems very improbable. But in a different way, in a more profound way, it seems improbable that all of this is the result of absolutely nothing and randomness. Like, that seems just ludicrous, whereas the first one seems improbable. One seems impossible, I guess. And so I see why people can look at that and be like, that doesn't seem probable. Yeah, I guess it doesn't. It's kind of amazing and profound, and, you know, kind of seems like too good to be true. I think there's certain things that are so good that they go beyond the too good to be true, that they almost must be true. But for me, I look at it as I can either affirm that beauty, love, truth, good, evil are actual things that I experience, or those are all illusions. And the one problem I have to deal with, if they're real, is that God has created a world in which there is evil, and that's a hard thing for people to understand, and I don't think it's something that we can ever fully grasp. But I have to believe there's a reason for that, rather than throwing all those things out the window.